Hello, I'm Dr. Tom Thompson. Today, I'm sharing with you a video blog called Fathers and Sons Remembering. As I pen this story, it's been 12 days since the collision of a coach bus with a semi-trailer truck that took the lives of 16 members of the Humboldt Broncos hockey team. April is slipping away in Saskatchewan, and yet the snow refuses stubbornly to take its leave, thus forestalling spring's arrival. It's as if to ensure that no one dismisses this horrific accident and moves on too quickly. There is always the promise of better days. We know from past experience that it won't be long until one of the longest winters in recent memory begrudgingly makes its exit. However, the memories of the fathers and the mothers and the grandfathers and the grandmothers who were impacted directly by this tragedy will live long after one season gives way to the rest. You know, for longer than we care to admit, the haunting memories of the loved ones lost will be kaleidoscope-like, splendidly represented in multiple reflections. Yes, there will be many hockey images competing for their cranial attention. However, in addition, there will be many more colorful images of special days and events finding their way into the human lens. They say self-reflection is the capacity of human beings to exercise introspection, and in doing so, it's also said we learn about ourselves, our purpose, our essence. If there was any good resulting from the Humboldt Broncos disaster and the suffering, it may very well be that it gives pause, then rise to reflection on the part of parents everywhere. In some small way, I think I know what many fathers who raised a hockey-playing son may be thinking as the 16 celebration of lives unfold before our very eyes. On one hand, there is the stark realization of that could have been our boy, given the countless and sometimes treacherous road trips across the vast western Canadian prairies. While, on the other hand, there is a strange personal comfort in this time of sadness as fathers take a deep breath, give thanks, and troll our memories for those special moments shared with their sons, which were banked from days gone by. Some claim it's unfortunate that it takes an uncommon catastrophe for us, as parents, to tap our brakes, if only to glance momentarily in the rear view mirror of life. And they're likely correct. However, if not for the Humboldt Broncos, I'm not so sure many of us would be coming to a full stop on our own and recalibrating our relationship with our sons. I, for one, am not so sure I would have reached out this week and asked my son the question for which there is no answer for the fathers who lost a son that fateful evening in early April. The question for my son was not complicated. It didn't need to be. Simply stated, it was about precious moments shared between a father and a son while he was growing up. Now that he is an adult, a teacher in fact, what does he recall from our lives and our times together on the hockey trail? Certainly, I was anxious to know as to how he would respond. Would his upsurge in memories be positive? Would he speak of one and on one time Would he talk of moments when I may have influenced his choices or direction? Would his reflections convey a sense of being loved, or that he mattered, or what he did was important, or that he knew his father was exceptionally proud of him? Well, suffice it to say, he didn't disappoint. Not only was his response prompt and colorful in his narrative, but it was candid as well. I'm proud to share several edited excerpts from his message to his father.
I'd have to say our car drives during my first year of playing Adam House League as a full-time goaltender stand out to me. I recall conversations about being hurt versus being injured, being sick, and or playing with no excuses. And if you decide to play, you need to give it your all and leave it all out there. The second memory that comes to mind is our trips to Sylvan Lake Goaltender School, staying in the motel, or even camping one summer at Jarvis Bay. Getting dehydrated, learning from the best goalie in the world at the time, Bill Ranford. The values, the competition, the specialization, the growth and development that comes from the familiarity and raising your level of play from year to year. A third memory is our times together and apart while I attended Notre Dame College in Saskatchewan for grade 11 and grade 12. Dropping me off for the first time, seeing him cry, the almost nightly phone calls, and my struggle and merge mentality being put to the test. Fourthly, I remember a father-son trip to Wichita Falls, Texas, to watch the Dallas Cowboys training camp. I remember being able to talk to one another as adults for the first time. My questions were mostly centered around Mom's passing and our time with him as a single father. His motivation for having me attend Notre Dame was also a topic that we spoke about. Another great memory, as I recall, our everlasting rivalry at golf. From the day that he brought home red and white Wilson golf bag with 4 clubs in it, I was always willing, eager, and excited to head to the links with my dad. I also remember our hunting and quadding trips south of Grand Prairie. We looked for chickens while listening to the Cocktail soundtrack and Rod Stewart. One time we came across a pack of wolves. Another, we heard the loudest grizzly bear roar of all time. On a somber note, I also remember my friend Mike wrapping the Polaris quad around a tree. Lastly, as a little boy, I remember our breakfast together at the Golden Inn in Grand Prairie and our trips to Al's News. We'd spend hours looking at magazines and books. Most of them, admittedly, were about hockey. In closing, I left my father with a PS. I almost forgot to mention how good it felt as a little boy to share the big chair with my dear old dad in our living room while we were watching some sort of sporting event on television.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, better days are ahead. The forecast for the remainder of this seemingly never-ending month of April is looking up. Before long, spring will be in the air. However, before everyone moves onward, let us not forget the 6th day of the 4th month of 2018. Let us not move on too quickly without learning from this fateful moment. And let us not, as parents and grandparents, ever take for granted, even for a fleeting moment, those precious moments with our sons and our daughters. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you a few ideas relative to leadership lessons. Hopefully, you'll find something of value in today's lesson, which will help you going forward as soon as tomorrow to become the authentic leader that you wish to become.